Vibe Tribe. I'm here again with another exciting episode. We are here to raise the consciousness and lift humanity out of the doldrums and have a good time while we do it. So I'm here in England. I'm recording from my mother's house. I have been feeling the planet's uneasy, unresting, kind of, wow, what a time, eh? And so I thought, well, what if I get blocked off from seeing my mum and my sister and all my family, all my friends, my homeland, because I live in Canada. So I thought, well, I'll nip back here. Was it fear that made me come? I don't know. It was some sort of like, woo, this is going to get a bit ropey over the next couple of years. So let's dig in and make the most of it. Okay, so we noodle an idea here. I would love you to like, subscribe, comment. If you are a sort of wizardy person, a warlocky person, anyone who's been living on the fringes of reality and are now ready to kind of come into your own, this is the channel for you. It's Lizzie Allen Vision. We are using our inner vision to create a world which is beautiful, because as we all know, we've been living in a fear-based reality for a really long time, and now it's starting to show itself. The cracks are starting to come out in the mainstream in a way that we've never really been able to fathom before. Now, I've been watching Gaia TV, and I'm going to put a link in the description below. If you haven't come across Gaia TV, I highly recommend it for everything alternative to the mainstream. It's got extraterrestrial stuff. It's got the power of plant medicine, healing, not just ayahuasca and stuff like that, but, you know, Ayurveda, which is Aya stands for life, Veda, knowledge. So it's spiritual, it's alternative, it's esoteric. It's all the stuff that they don't really want you to know in the mainstream. As we are seeing a collapse of systems that we were taught to be able to rely on for ever. And most of us, if you're watching this and you've stayed this long, you probably have never felt all right in these systems. We're taught very young not to accept ourselves the way we are, but to be different, to reject ourselves. And it is in rejecting ourselves and being fearful of who we truly are that is where we lose our power. Now, I don't mean to be coming in hard and strong straight off the back. I tried to record something yesterday, but I have been going through what you might call a sort of shift in reality. You know, I've always been an alternative thinker. I've always lived on the outskirts and the fringes of what we call the mainstream idea of kind of, you know, getting a job, getting a career, getting a wife and a family and a kids and all of that. Well, I say wife, you know, like, but I watched something really interesting yesterday, and I'm going to hit you with the big stuff. And what I want you to do is keep an open mind, because at the end of the day, why do we need to keep a small mind? We are being shown that reality is not what it seems, and you've probably been having taps on the edge of your consciousness for a really long time. So bear with me. I'm going to go along the ET extraterrestrial path, right? Now, we all know that extraterrestrials are, in fact, here already and have been a part of this experience for a really long time. We're never really told in the mainstream, but then it has been coming out slowly but surely over the last kind of few years that actually, you know, contact has been made, you know. So anyway, so there's all these different ETs, right? And apparently there's this galactic council, a bit like you might see in Star Trek. And there are a bunch of benevolent beings, and they are watching over what's happening here at the moment. But here's the other thing that I learned yesterday. It was kind of terrifying, but I had heard things about it before, but had really kind of pushed it to one side. And that's that there's a reptilian race living below the surface. And that sounds crazy. And when I say it, they might not physically be there, but energetically they're there. And apparently they're controlling through this kind of mind control. They have no empathy, and they control the sort of top leaders of governments and things like that. But they control through the shadows and through mind control. And here's the thing about it. Now, I know this is going way out. They operate on our willingness to go along with it. So they've created this, in a sense, matrix of fear. So that's what you can really feel if you look out into society. We're taught to be fearful, to be afraid. That's the same thing. To live separately, to be in competition with one another. But actually, who are you really? You're a really loving person, and pretty much everyone you know, apart from the odd sort of narcissist, everyone you know is a willing participant, you know, a sort of conscious co-creator. So we are, as a race, a very we work together. We do. That's our natural bent. And then when we wonder why are we being led by psychopaths and sociopaths who have no empathy, who don't care if half the population slide into the abyss. They don't care. Like when we and what we're seeing now is the great veil pulled back, that we really aren't being guided by these governments into more and more safety. We're being guided into more and more control. And what they do is they get us to sign along the dotted line. So what happens is they'll create some sort of disaster, right? Be it, sort of like 9/11. And then they'll say, oh, we have the answer to this. It's just, we'll put in loads of measures of control and we'll defend against terrorism, right? But they are the terrorists, the people right at the top, the psychopaths leading by greed and ego and power and lust and all of that stuff. And us at the bottom are going, it can't be true. Like my stepdad, he's just such a nice man, and he was brought up in a sort of really sort of boarding school to think this is the way that life works. And he just can't believe that there's anything nefarious behind the scenes. I mean, I'm not even bringing up this subject with him. Trust me. But it makes for a really interesting conversation to say, well, I said to him the other day, well, there's this thing called Project 2025, and it's a group, it's a right-wing think tank that's behind, the administration currently. And, who's influencing that? Who's influencing a right-wing think tank to control as much of the world as they possibly can? Anyway, look, it gets laughable. That's why I kind of want to burst into laughter. But there is this intergalactic team of benevolent light beings. You've kind of heard of them. There's different, Arcturian race and the Pleiadians and all sorts of kind of more etheric angel-like beings, and they can't intervene with what's going on down here unless we ask for it, ask for the guidance, ask for the light, ask for all of that stuff. They can't interfere because we have free will. And the way that they know what these reptilians are doing, but because we're giving our free will to these powers, right? These control systems, this matrix of government, this sort of like, oh, you are in a government, this is where you live in a country, you have to pay taxes or you'll be put in prison. Like, that's a system of governance, but control and actually fear-based, right? And we go, oh, okay. And we don't realise how powerful we are. We don't realise we can say, oh, no, thank you. Keep your matrix of control. I'm not interested, right? And it's that simple, but it doesn't feel that simple because we are fearful. We're playing fearful tapes in our heads of, oh, if I don't do that, I'm going to end up in prison, right? But if enough of us stop signing on the dotted line, stop signing our life away on the dotted line, we really don't have to play that game. We don't have to be in the grip of fear. We can live joyful, co-creative lives with all the other beautiful humans on this planet who choose to be guided by love and light and joy and peace, which is really exciting. Now, even if you don't believe, or it's too far-fetched even to believe, that there's some sinister influences on those top dogs, just forget that and just think about this. If they have no empathy and they are willing to just cut off all sorts of help and aid and all they want to do is create more wars and more control and have the fewer people in control with all the resources, right? Does it even matter what's influencing them? You just don't sign up on the dotted line. Like, you just say, well, no, I'm actually claiming to be a sovereign being or a sovereign state. And I think what's happening now is we're shifting into such a different sense of reality. It's almost like the whole, like, matrix is going like that. Have you noticed? Have you felt like, whoa, I'm feeling really chaotic inside? And this is also marked out in the planetary movements as well. Like, if you look at any astrological thing, there is huge, like, alignments and, like, shifts, and we're moving from sort of Pisces into Aries. And I don't know really what that means, but it is aligning with the chaos on the planet. So even if you don't... Whoa. Sorry about that. And because I don't do any editing, we're just going to have to keep that. Like, what was that? Like, is that like... is that like them trying to stop me? I'm just kidding. Right, Beaver's back in town. I didn't even mention that my Beaver's here. So, yeah. Anyway, even if you don't believe in any of that, let's just say, for argument's sake, everything works like a house of cards. You think it has power, but it doesn't have power. Only in as much as you stack it up with your free will and agreement. And you might think, oh, I don't have free will. But you do have free will. You absolutely do. You can go left or you can go right. I looked right, but anyway. This will either make you run a mile or come in closer and grab a seat and sit by my warm fire. I am not here to change your mind. I am here to remind you that you have access to great power in the present moment. And it is through fear that they control. Who are they? Who bloody cares who they are, right? The fact is we are choosing to be fearful. And Prince said this. He said, don't watch anything that you don't want to see manifest into reality. So this is the time we need to stop watching Hollywood disaster films. We need to stop watching things about serial killers, stop watching anything which induces a state of fear, because we're projecting from our minds and creating a reality collectively. Now, there's so many people who are tuning into light, doing meditation and prayer and affirmative prayer, and they are pulling in the support from these light beings, angels, galactic council of good people. But we have to rise into this. We can't just sit by and expect the government to fix it, or that the Democrats are going to fix it or anything, because they just can't, right? Because that system was created to control and induce fear, and the Democrats are no better. We are looking at a new world order. We are looking at a new world. We are looking to co-create from a place of present moment. We are asking to open your mind and relax into who and what you are at the very core, the presence of who you are at the very core of your being. Now, I don't know if this was at all funny. I mean, it was definitely out there, right? Out there, but I have this, I'm holding my beaver, and I have this stone here, which it says harmony, if you can see that. It says harmony. It's an indigenous pebble made of wood, and it has a hummingbird on it, and we have a natural planet which has a natural order, and we get close to the earth, we get close to the people, and we get close to the truth, and we do not let fear control us and corral. Because the more fear there is, right, the more they can control us. And they control through fear, and fear is free will. You are free to not be afraid. Sorry, I didn't mean to chuck my beaver down there. It's not my beaver's fault. All right, I'm going to leave it there, and just, I love you, I love you, I love you. I'm out.